regardless, whether they seen her as a sir,
so it was
Mr.
Sexuality changed.
Yeah, just kind of. I told her, you're trying to find yourself, you know. Because when you're teenagers and even older, you go through things, and sometimes. But you know what? That she did want to be a tomboy. She didn't want to be my princess. I let her have that. You know, I can't fight against you saying, take off those Timberlands, put on some 6-inch heels, and put on this. 8th grade graduation, she looked like a princess, but you best believe when we got home, oh no, it's jeans, Tim, shirt. She couldn't wait to flap out of them clothes. That's the point where I knew, I said, I don't have a princess.
Turn up, turn up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now today, I'll be doing a segment of 4 lessons to learn from on a Chicago Savage, which is pretty out the ordinary this time around because our subject is not a man, but was a young female by the name of Gakirah Barnes, aka K.I. Now, just because she wasn't one of the guys, don't be fooled. She put in work just like one, if not more. Now, K.I. repped the STL EBT set, otherwise popularly known as Tuckerville, which was repped by the GDs. Now, oftenly referred to as Lil Snoop, a name coined behind the female assassin from the early 2000s show The Wire, K.I. certainly lived up to that name. Now, having been involved in allegedly over 20 murders before her untimely passing on Friday, April 11, 2014 at the age of just 17. Now, she was on her way to a barbecue with 2 other individuals when a hooded man popped up and shot K.I. and the other 2 people she was with. 2 others were wounded but survived. However, K.I. didn't make it. Now, in her short-lived life, I feel it's a few lessons we can learn from her story, so we won't meet her same fate that she met in the street. Now, before I get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And I swear, it's lit here. So join one of the latest gangs on YouTube so you can stay updated with some of the realest content. Alright? Now, within these 4 lessons, like I said, I'm going to talk some real stuff and we just going to get straight into it. Lesson number 1. Stay on point at all times. Alright? Stay on point at all times. Now, it sounds simple and like common sense, but too many have fallen due to this simple lesson. So, we all know K.I. was a savage, right? Well, her body count rumored to be in the double digits. It's without a doubt she knew how to move in the streets, because if not, she wouldn't have lasted as long as she did or caught as much people slipping. However, it's hard to believe the way she went out, because knowing the type of target she had on her head in the streets, she wasn't supposed to be exposed as much as she was. Now, the story of her death goes like this. On April 11th, around 3:30 p.m., she was walking down the 6400 block on the south side of Chicago with her brother FBG Butter and another friend to go to another friend's house for a barbecue, when suddenly an unknown man wearing a gray hoodie and blue jeans approached the victims. The unknown offender then produced a handgun and began firing in the direction of the victims, striking all 3. Now, the unknown offender then was observed entering an unknown vehicle, making good his escape. Now, if you know the real story, you know that the news got it all mixed up and wrong. All I'm going to say is that it was actually 3 suspects involved in K.I.'s death, and she actually suffered a fatal shot to the neck from a close-range shot while on the porch that she later died in front of. Now, my thing is this. K.I. had a big target on her back for being involved in robberies and killings of some big BD members. So I don't know why she'll think it's okay to just be walking the streets casually like she's just a regular civilian. And I say numerous of times, man, once you a target in the street, you can no longer go back to the normal way of living. You have to be on point 24/7 and try to stay below the radar as much as possible, especially knowing that ops are known for riding through other ops' territory looking for a sting. So anything like walking in public or using public transportation is no longer an option, because all it takes is for one time an op to see you and then it's over. And I always tell people, you don't get a second chance at this thing called life. Look at what happened to T-Roy. He went looking for an op in their territory and ended up getting spotted, and the person he was looking for was alerted that he was in the area, and then they ended up catching him slipping. Alright, now in K.I.'s case, she was already caught lacking by King Von before on the train, and him and some others jumped K.I. on the train as well, badly. That should have taught her a lesson then, but apparently not, man. But on the flip side, a lot of these people we cover, you think they're older when we describe what's going on with them, until you find out that a lot of them was committing these murders at the ages as young as 13, 14, and 15. So it's hard to stay on radar when they have no choice but to be walking in the open. Whereas maybe if you was older, they'll be driving a car to get around and not to be seen, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And I personally believe this is why so much murders occur, because it's like these guys are beefing within blocks of each other, and these blocks aren't big at all. If you come to Chicago and you see what's going on out there, man, these guys are literally beefing blocks away from each other, and these blocks are not big at all. And all it takes is for one person to ride around and catch somebody slipping. Alright, so let that be a lesson to y'all still on the street. If you know you're a target, please be super cautious and try to stay off the radar. If not, a regular day in the neighborhood could turn into your last one. Alright, now let's move on to the next lesson. Lesson number 2. Don't become a product of your environment. Now this right here is a strong lesson. Please, listen, I can't even stress, because I know we hear mostly rappers saying, I'm just a product of my environment, I'm just this, I'm just that. However, that's not something cool to glorify, because all that means is that you haven't grown from your circumstance, which also means that you haven't evolved and you're subjected to the same actions that you took when you was in that same circumstance. So it don't matter how much money you got, it don't matter what you doing, how much success you got, you still subjected to do the foolish stuff that you was doing when you was broke. You know why? Because you are a product of that same environment. You haven't evolved. Now, like I said, we tend to hear all the time how people say they're just a product of their environment. And in most cases, that simply means that the individual is subjected to their circumstances due to their surroundings. So if you're from a hood, right, where there's killings, poverty, and it seemed like no way out, you will behave as such because it's all you see. And I feel this may have been the case dealing with K.I. She didn't start off as a savage at all. K.I. actually had a lot of goals set in place for herself and even aspired to be a guidance counselor to help children. Now, how crazy is that? A person that's a savage that was taking people's lives actually wanted to help little kids. So that could tell you where her mind frame was before she hit the streets. It was even stated that she enjoyed math and science and was in fact a shy person at one point in time. Now, it was to the point where when her mother and relatives heard of her gang lifestyle, they could not believe it was K.I. Alright? K.I. mother explains having a close relationship with her daughter, where they'll often tell each other everything and listen to music off the phone together. She also stated she loved basketball and that K.I. was no fighter at all. Now, that may be true, because that can explain why she was terrorizing everywhere. Excuse me. Now, once upon a time, K.I. actually had boyfriends and dressed like a girl as well. But it's when she started hanging around the wrong crowd when she began to take a turn for the worse. Now, you know the old term. If you stick around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a cut. And that's the situation that we're dealing with when it comes to K.I. K.I. came from a decent home. And even when she passed, her mother, her cousins, and whole family said nothing but good things about her, and even went on to say that she didn't deserve what she did because she was the sweetest person. But what they didn't know was this: that same hurt that they feeling, K.I. have inflicted that same pain on a lot of other families as well. Her body count even though a lot of people aren't for sure how much, but it's estimated to be in the double digits. And must I remind you that this isn't no grown-up we're talking about. She was only 17 at the time of her passing. And like I said, as her family described K.I. as receiving good grades and was respectful, once again, she had that dark side that they were simply unaware of. And I honestly feel she just became a product of her environment. She wasn't always dressing the way she dressed or acting the way she acted. She actually had at least 4 boyfriends before she was, you know, into the whole gang lifestyle. And guess what? She was sober as well. It's when the wars began, her name grew, where K.I. began taking drugs such as weed, ecstasy, Xanax. So like I said, you become a product of your environment. And those drugs that you take, whether it's alcohol, the weed, the Xanax, the Molly, the ecstasy, the drink, lean, all that is to just cope with your everyday lifestyle. It's to cope with reality. A lot of people can't face reality, and that's a problem. So what they do, they resort to the drugs. All right, and it's sad because here this young lady is with goals and a future in front of her, with what it seems like a decent family behind her, but then she gets in the street and she loses her life at the age of 17. See, if you in the life, you may never stop to realize that there's a very young age and these kids are dying before they could even experience life the proper way. All right. And as I always say, if some of these guys experience life before they pass, I'm sure they'll forget the guns and actually want to live. It's poverty that's forcing these kids to act like this. A lot of them feel like they have nothing to live for anyway. It's their circumstances that's forcing these kids to act the way they act. It's the no hope or anything to look forward to. A lot of these places, they don't have community centers for these kids. Remember PAL, when after school you could actually go there and have fun, shoot basketball, play games, do your homework, whatever it is you want to do. They don't have that for these kids anymore. So what these kids are doing, they're going on social media, they're going on their iPads, they on the internet 24/7. Kids are not even going outside no more. And when they do, it's for all the wrong things. Whether it's to sneak with her boyfriend or his girlfriend, or to go out there and do drugs so their parents won't find out. You see what I'm saying? Who knows where K.I.'s life would have been if she just took a different approach and not have been around the guys that she was around. I encourage any of the youth watching this, you don't have to follow your friends. You don't have to be peer pressure into doing anything you don't want to do. Be that friend that make it cool to do the right thing, to do the opposite of what your friends you see doing the wrong thing, and have them do the right thing. Be the friend that instead of violence, you make it cool to get some money and do something different. Get out that hood so you're not a product of your environment. I'm going to leave that lesson there, and hopefully, man, that one right there, hopefully it resonates with someone and can spark a change. Because a lot of us are a product of their environment. I am a product of my environment. If you would have asked me when I was 12 years old, 11 years old, where I would be in my 20s, I would have told you I would have been rich and famous, a famous football star, whatever the case may be. But life took a turn because I became a product of my environment. I became the people I hung around. And it was older people. That's another thing. You older dudes in the street, man, stop encouraging these kids to do what y'all doing. They got a whole future ahead of themselves. You got 40-year-olds influencing these young 19, 18-year-olds. That 40-year-old guy life is over. So what he's doing is he's teaching you life through his eyes, which is nothing, because he has nothing going for himself but to be in the streets committing crime. Whereas that 18 or 19-year-old, they have a whole future ahead of them. They just got to stay focused, stay in school, keep positivity around them. So let this be a lesson, man. Do not be a product of your environment. Now that's lesson number 2. We're going to move on to the next lesson. Like I said, I hope these lessons resonate with some of y'all so y'all don't have the same faith that these people that we talk about have. And there's no disrespect to the people we talk about. We just trying to prevent the future from being like the past. All right? So lesson number 3. Do not mix the streets with social media. Please, excuse me. Do not mix the streets with social media. Now, one thing we learned from these rappers, especially as of lately, is to keep the street stuff off social media. Now, we seen it firsthand with Casanova, how them feds could play, as they tracked his DMs, his iCloud, his text messages, everything. They used all that against Casanova, including Instagram posts, Instagram stories, his DMs, everything. Then you got artists like NBA Youngboy flashing military-style guns on Instagram Live, which led to a search warrant on his home where he was previously arrested. Now, it's clear that police are watching, but still, some of these rappers feel it's a need to prove a point by either flashing weapons or saying some incriminating things on social media. And what happens is these rappers say it, And then these individuals, right, these regular people, they see it because we don't know no better. These are kids. They see it and they begin to do the same thing. Perfect example, I was watching not to get off subject, I was watching a documentary on the whole ATK and the whole Florida scene with Young and Ace and all of them, right? And I heard the guy that was narrating the whole story, he said, yeah, Florida has made it cool to diss dead ops and go to the furthest extent and diss your dead homies and all that. And guess what? They trying to make it seem like Florida started that. When in case, no. They didn't make it popular. That's what he said. They made it popular. They didn't make it popular. That came from Chicago. But that lets me know that that narrator isn't in the know. But this is how it trickles down. It started in Chicago, and even in New York, you got these young dudes in Brooklyn going crazy. Now in the Bronx as well, they going crazy. Dissing dead ops, kicking over memorials, candles. And I'm gonna say this, right? In the peak of the whole drill culture, this was in fact the thing amongst the Chicago youth. They would commit murders, they would brag about it all over Twitter, all that. You got King Von, Melly, Wooski, Boss Top, K.I., and a whole bunch of others that were some of the main ones as they would taunt dead ops that they would allegedly catch lacking or have some type of involvement in their death. Now, I'm going to tell you this. This is the easiest way to get the police attention, man. And in K.I.'s situation, it played a big part against her. And I'm going to tell you why. Because a high-level police officer stated that K.I. was suspected in 3 to 5 shootings, one of which has been a murder as well for each one. Now, he also says that K.I. fit the description of the suspects from an eyewitness giving the police motive to run an investigation on her before she died, which means that before she died, she was under investigation, and she may have not even knew it. But from the Twitter that she's putting out there, talking to King Von about bodies and all that stuff, man, it plays a part. Y'all will never know when the feds is on you. You would never, ever know until they come up. And usually when the feds come, they're not coming to ask you questions. They're coming to give you a sentence and charge you. Now, it says, like I said, yeah, K.I. was in fact on the police radar and was under investigation before her untimely passing. Now, like I said, this is a lesson I'm actually tired of covering because I thought it would be common sense. And also, I can't believe how brave some of these guys are on social media. They waving guns. They letting social media know they every move. All that, man. And it's the quickest way to meet your demise. Whether it's the ops finding out your location or the cops watching to see who's who and what's what. Believe me, when I say everything is not for social media, it's not for social media. The police can and will the police can and will use any evidence or information that they find credible in court against you. So please don't make it any easier for them, man. If you're in the streets, whatever you're doing, like I said, I can't tell you what to do. But don't make it easier for the cops to do their job, man, for real. And that's all I'll say about that because, like I said, I feel that one is common sense. I just feel that some of y'all guys, y'all just do it because y'all want to do it. Maybe you want to look cool. Who knows? But at the end of the day, a lot of people are going behind bars from social media. That has to be the worst. Could you imagine being in the street, catching bodies, getting money, doing whatever it is you're doing, and your fall comes from social media? Something that you did. Alright, man? So, y'all let that be another lesson to y'all, man. Please take heed to that one. Now, let's move on to the last lesson. Last, but certainly not least. Lesson number 4. Live in your own shadow. Alright? Lesson number 4. Live in your own shadow. Now, this right here is self-explanatory. I feel some of us tend to feel invincible at times and think that nothing can happen to us because of the rep that we may have built for ourselves. But for every gangster, there is someone that's tougher or more gangster or willing to go the distance with you. Or in fact, as I always express, the tough lose his life over someone who's in fear of theirs. So now when I talk about living in your shadow, this applies to K.I. because she was given the name Lil Snoop which is a well-known early 2000s show from The Wire, where the character was also a vicious female from Baltimore who killed and robbed people. So it's no wonder that K.I. modeled herself after Lil Snoop. Now, however, she may have taken that title a little too far, as she was taking a fictional character and making her a reality. All right, as we know in the hood, we see these movies at an early age and don't know how, well, I wouldn't say don't know how, but some of us being young don't know no better, so we try to reenact or attempt to reenact these same people, our favorite characters. And it's done subconsciously. It does something to us, man. And they know that. Television is all programming. That's why the hood got those movies. It leaves us to inflict the same gangster behavior that we just watched. We inflict that on our same neighborhood. We going out, we shooting, we doing this, we doing. Matter of fact, I remember being young watching Friday, and I used oregano and loose leaf paper to imitate rolling up joints. This is how impactful movies, television, social media, and all these programs could be, man. Let's not forget that K.I.'s father was murdered when she was just less than a year old. So maybe that also played a part in the guidance factor as well, because, you know, sons tend to gravitate to the mom and the daughters gravitate to their fathers normally. All right, and like I said, man, you got some people, they spending their lives just to keep up with the Joneses, buying $400 to $500 pair of sneakers and end up late on their rent, all because they see people stunting on Instagram, or have all these designer clothes and foreign cars, but guess what? Still living with their parents, man. Live in your own shadow. If you want to wear Pumas, wear Pumas. You want to wear Skechers, wear Skechers. You want to buy a t-shirt from Target, do that, but live in your own shadow. You don't have to be like everybody else. And this is why a lot of us is in poverty now, because we trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know, you just got your check, and your check was probably only $500, and you trying to go pay $300 for a pair of Jordans. Now you left with $200 to fend for the whole week and pay bills. Come on, man. We got to do better. Now, the moral of the story is this. Be yourself. Find your purpose in life. And I promise you, it'll reward you on the other side of your purpose. There was no reason to be jealous or envious of the next person. We all are placed here for a reason, and everybody's story is very different. Some acquire success real early. Some acquire success real late. Either way, it's not a race. Stay your course. It's a marathon. Life is not a race. Please don't get tricked out of the streets, because it's easy to get in trouble and hard to get out of it. Keep that in mind, y'all, please. Now, I'm going to leave that there. Hopefully somebody learned something throughout this video. Rest in peace to K.I. and much love to her family. Now, let's have a recap of all the lessons that we learned today. Lesson number 1, we said stay on point at all times. Lesson number 2, do not become a product of your own environment. Lesson number 3, do not mix streets with social media. And last but not least, lesson number 4, live in your own shadow. All right, now if any of these lessons resonated with you personally, please let me know in the comment box below. If you favorite it or like one of these lessons, like I said, let me know which one you like in the comment box below. I'm gonna leave that there. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm gonna keep on dropping, and I'm out.